Seeing people glare at you periodically. There'll be people that say hello and they appreciate the show. There's also, yeah, I gotta turn around here, a lot of people that placed a sense of judgment on me, and, you know, I got the evil eye. Because I was that guy that was talking about those things that they didn't want to hear. And I'd go out to bars. Sometimes I'd have a few beers because I was lonely, and I'd talk to people about certain things, and it was like high school. You know, at some point you would say something that they would go, whoa, that is way out there. That's impossible. That is completely opposed to my belief system. And maybe they would go over to their friends across the bar and make fun of you, or tell them something that would cause them to laugh. It was very high schoolish, middle schoolish. And again, this is my hometown, where I was born, where I stayed after my family left, where I'm on TV, yet I don't even have my own community. So, it's late 2011. The summer had passed, and I'm staying at another friend's house. And I'm in a deep state of prayer to be placed in the right spot. Complete willingness for the universe to guide me. And I've always kind of lived by that ideal. Thy will, not mine, be done. And I always knew when I was hosting the TV show that a day might come where my life would change, where this would no longer be the most important thing in my life. And I remember even ranting and raving sometimes when I would go off and say things like that, because I really felt, you know, this is temporary. Everything is in a constant state of change. Nothing is permanent. And even though that's a very well-known Buddhist teaching, I've always felt this about my life and all of its experiences, and to not be attached to things. So I accepted the job offer in Dallas, Texas, and I'll explain why. A lot of people ask, Alex, why would you go to Dallas, Texas? That's so not like you. Exactly, and I hated Dallas. But I was willing to go to a place that is not considered fun to a lot of people, because this man had a dream to build his own alternative media network. And I found out later on he was only interested in using me to get subscriptions for his network, and he was going to market it the way that he wanted to, through multi-level marketing, not known as the most moral way to engage in business, highly scrutinized by the Federal Trade Commission. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Not that MLM doesn't have any good purposes. The point is, I went down for someone else's project and again wrapped myself up in someone else's way of doing things. And in the process of doing such, I lost myself. I walked away from my TV show. But in turn, I got a paycheck. In turn, you know, I got to continue to make videos, although it was extremely challenging for a project that really was going nowhere in a city that I had a hard time finding any fun in, or anything that I would call fun, and very few people that I would identify to be friends, other than Stephen Paulson and John Burroughs and a few others, and Reed. But other than them, you know, there were very few people I could call a friend, and very few women that I felt were like my sisters. In Portland, at least, I had somewhat of a connection to people because I had been there for a period of time. I wasn't a stranger. But I had done all that for an idea, to sacrifice my own pleasures of the flesh, my own desires, comforts, familiarities, for an unfamiliar, unfriendly environment and city, in hopes that it can help get the message across. Well, that's a long year to explain all the things that happened within Dallas. Not even finding an apartment or a place to live for a while, having to live with the boss's secretary, living even at one point on an air mattress in the studio. It was crazy. All that was over in September 2011, and that's why I came to Colorado. I knew I wanted to be near the Rocky Mountains. I've always wanted to be in this area. There's something about it that calls my spirit. And there is something very special about the San Luis Valley, south central Colorado. I've already mentioned it briefly to some of you in other videos, so you have the information to look up if you're curious as to the stories and legends that surround this mysterious valley. Before I got here, of course, I went to Simla, Colorado to stay with a couple. And then I went to Wyoming to stay with a friend. And then I came back to Colorado Springs, stayed a little bit in Denver, got out of that city real fast, and found my way here through synchronicity. And it's not like I'm running from anything. It's that I've come to realize sometimes life is hard and challenging, and you lose everything but your life, but you still have your wits about you. You still have the ability to pray, to engage in prayer, to let miracles happen in your life, and that's what I did. Because the way that I look at it, if you're going to suffer economically and you're going to be alone and you don't have a community around you or a family, there's nothing wrong with going out and just living off the grid. I would love to be on the air right now. I would love to be feeding you guys information every single day. I would love to just give you my thoughts all the time, but I'm not in a situation where I can do that. Yes, there's a periodic YouTube video. That's not the same thing as being with you live or being on an Access TV station that's reaching people that normally don't look for this kind of information. You're only watching this because you're a subscriber. That's why the numbers are down to only a few hundred or less, usually less than 100. So I'm reaching 1/100th of what I used to. All because of the challenges that I went through. I asked for help. The help wasn't there. I took it as a sign, ladies and gentlemen, from the universe, that maybe I wasn't meant to live in Portland indefinitely forever. That maybe I was meant to go out and see other things and even experience certain pains of the world, but that in the end it would help make me grow. To see things in another light, to help me appreciate the very simple things in life. You know, I really appreciate things like a bath, like the sun, like water, like having food to eat, like the ability to get on the internet. I really, really appreciate those things. I really, really say thanks for those things, and I believe in the principles of nonviolence. You know, there's mice that are in the yurt. I haven't set up any mouse traps. I've told them verbally, please keep the sound down and I'll keep the mouse traps out of your way, because I don't believe it's my right to murder them just because they're vagrants. Well, I guess what am I? What I've gone through since leaving, even Dallas, is the feeling of judgment when I look dirty when I'm in the city. I know I look different ethnically. People are always wondering, where am I from? What planet? What country? And there's something very different about my energy and the ideas that I share and the ideas that live in the world up here, in my head. And so I believe that I have been born on this path to share ideas outside the box of the norm, and to do it in a way to where I'm not engaged in ego or attached to any structure. You know, I've never branded myself or made the AlexChancery.tv or .com, you know, t-shirt or mug. At one point I lost my website simply because I couldn't afford to pay the domain. But I kept going all these years, even though the presentation hasn't been perfect, including on the internet. It's all on YouTube, but it's not organized by category. You just got to sift through it, but you're sifting through literally hundreds of thousands of videos. That's not easy for the average person to do. So all I've done is just share the information as it's come to me, as it enters my mind, different things at different eras, different years. I'm talking about different subjects because the information is getting out there and people are thinking. And because of that, I've created a lot of positive energy for me, which has allowed me through synchronicity and a faith in the universe to go from place to place. As long as I'm doing good, I'm always able eventually at some point to find shelter or housing or things of that nature, food. Circumstances may be brutal at times, living in a yurt without power in the winter in South Central Colorado, but it only makes you stronger. So there are a lot of reasons why I love Portland. Failed relationships, homelessness, being at the survival center, and just a general feeling of not being appreciated by people in my own hometown that say they appreciate my information but weren't trying to be a friend in any way, and realize because of the path that I took, it's not government. It's not anything like that that's been an obstacle to my growth. People ask me for years, do you worry about the government? Absolutely not. Because there are dark forces above government that are better at sabotaging one's relationships, one's very life, and their plans. And there was a lot of darkness around the Portland Preparedness Center and the behaviors of that ex-partner, which is a whole other story. But when you're on the path to truth and you take sacrifices, every now and then the dark force does come through, and often it comes through people. And this is a long subject, a subject that's widely talked about in today's world, which is not exactly taboo as it used to be, because there is a lot of interface between human beings and the other side, or what we would call the supernatural. Sometimes there are repercussions that come to those that walk in the light. But all that aside, because it's a dead horse, Another time I can write about it in more detail. I left Portland because of all the negativity that I was facing as a result of the path that I took. And there's good and bad to everything and every decision. We're going into Encinitas now. May the police not be aware of my presence. I don't have registration. You know, I've learned things. And yes, an enlightened master would not bow to the negativity of others. I understand that. And would find a way, even in my situation, to keep doing what I was doing in Portland. But I was meant to see other things and take a break from what I was doing because of all the pain that it was creating. And here I am out here, even though I'm not live on Access TV, and I'm in a small town, and I don't have I have very few friends out here, because there's very few people out here. I'm appreciating, like never before, the simple things that all of us at some point can easily take for granted. It's easy to get spoiled on the grid, and you walk away from those pleasures of the flesh. You know, you really start to appreciate the things that are around us. Alright, this video is 25 minutes in. I think I have made things fairly clear, I hope I have, as to some of the factors that led to me leaving Portland, Oregon, feelings of isolation, economic hardship, and that I took a chance on life. And now I'm in a very mysterious valley, the San Luis Valley. And I'm thinking at some point about returning to Portland, but the reality of the situation is certain factors have to be put into place, like a place to live, and I'm going to get into more details in the next video before I take such a drastic move as moving away from a shelter, a stable place to live. And even though people may look down upon where I live now, I have a place to live. That's what's important. I have food to eat. I have certain things that people take for granted that some people have never lived without. And because I have had to live without, now that I am able to shelter in somewhere where I'm not invading someone's space, it's because I have that privacy that I'm here. You know, that I'm not bothering anyone, you know, that I'm not, you know, just couch surfing. I'm living alone, not bothering anybody, without power, in a yurt. And so it's a simple life, but it's my life. And it's the way things have had to be, at least up until this point in time. Things could change, but I'll talk about that in the next video, which may come later on in the week, about some of the things that not only I like to see before I come back to Portland, but the things that I like to accomplish. And by maybe voicing some of those goals that I have. And it does involve different types of meetups within Portland and bringing people together. Maybe I could inspire other Portlanders to help me out with some of this. And we can achieve potentially just enough critical mass to start connecting with other Portlanders that are becoming more awake than they ever were in the past. Alright, I'm now in town, and I'm about to go in the library. I will talk to you all later.